to season 3, I would say, starting off again, of the Blackbox Diaries with Chris and now Bailey, who is taking the role of Alex. So Alex has stepped away from the podcast for a little bit to focus on work and some family things. So from now on, the Black Box Diaries will be with Chris and Bailey. And Bailey is awesome. You would remember her from episode 1 of season 2. Absolutely killed it. One of the most popular videos that we had on the Black Box Diaries. So it was awesome. And it's good to be back. Welcome to the team, Bailey.
Thank you. I'm super excited. When you reached out, I was like, hell yeah. Like, I would love to be a part of this because I had such fun talking to you and Alex last time. And so it was just such a good experience. And, I was really excited that you reached out.
Yeah, no, it's good, and I mean it's been a while since we actually had an episode to push out. Again, like life has been busy for I think everybody, to be honest. Like young families and work and all this. Well, you guys in America, not sure if you go into war or not. Who knows?
No, it's just summertime here. We're all just like doing summertime things. Our kids are out of school, and so they are keeping us busy, I will say. But I know it's winter there, right? Is that how that works in the other hemisphere?
Yeah, so I went down to Canberra to see my family recently, and it was like -2 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but where we live in Queensland, so winter here is kind of not really winter, it's just kind of summer always.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
So
I mean, I just confirmed that I'll be in Melbourne in October, and we were kind of looking at the temperatures. Like, how do we pack? How do we address the fact that it's cold here in the U.S. And I mean, I'm in Texas, so it's always hot. And then travel to a completely different climate that's like the opposite of what we're used to.
yeah, no, 100%. And the thing you do need to remember and know about Melbourne, it's notorious for having 4 seasons in one day. So you could leave the house in the morning and it's cold, then mid-morning it's hot, and then mid-afternoon it's pouring down with rain, and then you're back to cold.
Yeah, yeah. I
So,
we do have some of that in Texas, but it's not as extreme, I will say.
what are you doing in Melbourne?
I just got confirmation that I'm going to be one of the featured speakers at CyberCon. So
Mhm.
I'm super excited because it's the first time I've been in Australia. I mean, it's my first international speaking engagement, which is really cool. And interestingly enough, I love like my hacking and stuff, but they wanted me to come and talk about my initiative with future proof security and how we're protecting kids online. And
Yep.
from the security side, from the like psychological side and education side, I've felt like that has really picked up a lot this year, which is super cool because it's cool to take a cybersecurity expert's perspective on that stuff rather than just being solely a childhood development advocate or anything like that. So it's really cool because that's what cybercon wanted, and so I am also excited to come and network with people that I haven't gotten to meet in person. It's doing everything on social media. You meet people and it's really cool to know them, but it's hard to meet people in person when you are not traveling like internationally like that.
No, 100%. I would definitely agree. I think we're going to schedule to do a recording at the conference as well for this. So that'll be good. And I'm sure we can catch up for a steak if you eat steak. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, definitely. And I've
oh,
been
you're from
told that I
Texas, right?
have
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I've
yeah.
been told that I need to learn the many coffees of Australia. So that's something that I'm gonna have to do some reading on.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I've only been to America once, and it was kind of like transferring through on the way to Brazil. And I do remember that the coffee tasted like shit. Yep. That's all I've got to say about it.
Everybody thinks that they're a coffee snob because they go to Starbucks. I'm like, really? There's way better coffee than Starbucks. I mean, so
Well, Starbucks for us here, so Starbucks actually closed down here a lot of their stores because it wasn't that they only kept it in the touristy areas because it was really only the tourists that come here and go, oh, I want a Starbucks, like the Americans and stuff like that. But for here like Starbucks is like McDonald's for coffee. So um,
Oh.
it's like a fast food coffee. But yeah, the coffees here are pretty good. Melbourne's renowned for it. I'd say Melbourne and Adelaide probably have the best
Okay.
coffees in Australia. Controversially, people will argue with that. But the warmer climates where I am, the coffee is generally not as good, but that's mostly because the baristas don't actually understand how to use the machines and the beans and things like that because of the humidity. The beans actually sweat, so you have to grind them and actually do everything at a different temperature here.
Well, I guess
So
I'm gonna have to catch up on my cyber networking and my coffee lore. So that's what CyberCon's gonna bring me this year, and I'm stoked to be there.
yeah,
So yeah.
well, coffee and cyber pretty much go together. So
Yes,
um,
you're right. You're right. So,
every
but
single BD meeting that I have is like, oh, do you want to get a coffee? Yes, yes, I do.
yes, of
The
course.
answer is
It's
always
it's
yes.
coffee in the morning or like a beer or whiskey in the evening for us. So, depends on
Right.
yep, depends on the time of day. Sometimes you're taking clients out or going to talk to partners and stuff over, drinks in the evening. So, yeah.
I don't really drink, so it's always coffee for me.
I've switched over to less intense evening drinks. So sometimes it's just nice to not have to do that. But there's a lot of good like mocktails and stuff around nowadays. So
That's
there's
true.
something for
That's true.
everybody out there.
That's true.
So
And if you like
yeah.
coffee, espresso martinis, non-alcoholic version, pretty good.
There you
Um,
go. There you
quick
go.
question for you. Did you guys hear about Qantas in the US?
Yes, we
The Qantas
did.
breach? What do you know
Yep.
about it?
So
What's your
I have
thoughts?
been I'm not I am not surprised, but only because I saw that Scattered Spider was targeting, um, you know, uh, airline industries. And then
Yeah.
they came out with Qantas said, hey, we've been breached. And this was nearly a week after like the Scattered Spider stuff kind of blew up, like
Mm,
seeing it all over Reddit and the news and stuff. And I was like, yep, that smells like Scattered Spider to me. Because these airline industries are getting popped. And so, like, interestingly enough, with Scattered Spider, and I'm like not a threat intel person, like I'm the pen tester, the red teamer, whatever. But it's still really interesting because taking away some of the knowledge of the threat actors and what they're doing and who they are is really interesting to know still from an offensive side, even if you're not directly
mhm,
dealing with threat intelligence. And Scattered Spider was, it was said that it was a group of like young individuals from the UK, like in their early 20s. Like, how crazy is that? That's how accessible hacking is nowadays. And I don't know if they did attribute Scattered Spider to Qantas, but the fact that these airline industries are being popped by a bunch of 20-year-olds begs the question, like, how are they getting so sophisticated so quickly? Um, and also, I did see today that there was a ring of young 20-year-olds, a couple males and a female, that were caught in the UK with some blackmailing and cyber scandals, and it was with a kind of a different organization that they were a part of or targeting, but it all kind of goes back to Scattered Spider's a whole threat actor group and how intertwined are these networks. And so when you have young threat actors, they're very intelligent because they're able to target large corporations, and yet they're so dumb because they're so young and naive and they don't cover their tracks very well. What have you guys heard about it? Because I know Qantas is obviously a lot closer to home for you.
yeah, so it's kind of blown up quite a bit. Obviously there's a lot of stuff that we have around regulation changes and the laws and everything like here, and particularly around privacy and everything like that. So we obviously have the National Cybersecurity Coordinator and the government agencies, they all get involved with it. And they generally keep the details pretty under wraps. So it's kind of more just people like yourself and me that speculate, oh, we reckon this happened, or we think that this happened, or it could have been this group, or whatever. They really don't kind of put too much of the information out there. I think I said to you earlier, like, I think at this point, I just hope they have a good photo of me on the dark web that gets my best angles because so much of my shit is out there, to be honest. Like, I mean, I was part of the Medibank one and all of those things recently, the past couple of years in Australia. So, I mean, all of the major ones that have been hit in Australia have all impacted me in some way.
Mhm.
And, what I do know of it, getting a access to a third party or to the call center, that is something that I find particularly interesting because I mean, I'm not sure, like, obviously you have your business, I have my business, and I get messaged probably 5, 6 times a day, if not more, from outsourcing companies in India and the Philippines and things like that saying, hey, do you want a virtual assistant? Do you want all that? And I'm not going to lie, like it's pretty tempting because I absolutely hate doing admin for my business. I hate sending invoices. I hate sending follow-ups. I hate doing all of that sort of stuff. It's expense management. It's very annoying. So I was like, yeah, $9 an hour. Yeah, why not?
Mhm.
But it is a matter of, you kind of get what you pay for. So I do have a client that has a virtual assistant company that they use based out of the Philippines as well. And I had originally, when I started doing stuff, sort of reached out and said, I'm interested in this. Can you provide me some details? And they came back and said, now's probably not the right time because they just suffered a cyber breach. We just got this email and forwarded me a copy of the email saying that they'd been breached as well. So I think,
Mhm.
it's a matter of getting what you pay for, $9 an hour. They're not going to be the top tier employee that you're expecting is going to do the user awareness training and all of these particular types of things. They're probably just going to come in, do their job, and go home. Um, so it's not a surprise, and I'm surprised that it didn't happen sooner
Mhm.
to more companies that use the offshoring companies, because I think that one of the things that organizations don't really do well is, in 2025, it still baffles me, but prioritizing cybersecurity as part of their supply chain. So doing due diligence of like, I want to work with this company or I want to bring on this company. So it's something that I'm doing with my clients at the moment, actually. So I've had a couple of them reach out and say, oh, hey, I want to use this company. They do AI. Instead of getting a virtual assistant, I want to get an AI assistant. And so then, I'm sort of helping them navigate that risk landscape of these are the questions you should ask that company before you engage them. And it's good because I think that's putting it back on the company that's now making them a little bit more aware that people are going to ask these questions as well. So hopefully it's making a little bit of a change going forward. But I think that third parties is just absolutely ridiculous. It's like every single time that I hear about a breach, it's because of some other company that the company uses these days. So
Yeah. Yeah. I know an organization. So one of my peers works for a company that delivers a lot of their services to like the US government through contracts and things like that. And one of the things here in the US is getting CMMC compliant. It's like the cybersecurity gosh, it's a whole acronym. CMMC level 1, 2. It's basically the cybersecurity certification for a small business or a business to do work with the government. They're required to be compliant at a certain level.
yeah,
And so they were working through all of the process of trying to get compliant. And one part was, making sure all of this stuff on their their messaging platforms like Microsoft Teams and stuff was all good. And my peer does the IT side of stuff, and they are not as experienced as that because they recently switched into this career path. And so I was talking to them,
right.
and they're like, yeah, we we're pulling in an outsourced the person from Fiverr, honestly, because it's a small business and they don't have a ton
Yeah,
of money to afford like these compliancy things. So they're like, we can do it ourselves. We can pay, this person to come in and teach us what we need to do like this small facet of CMMC. It wasn't a person that was doing the CMMC compliance. They were just trying to check the boxes to make sure that everything was accurate for their compliancy. It would mean they needed to bring in like a SharePoint and
yeah,
Teams and all things Microsoft Suite. And so they they hire this person and they come in and the person was really smart and they're like, yeah, it's like a great experience so far. And I guess my peer was talking to him and was like, hey, I don't know how they got on the topic of like the time and something like that. And the person from Fiverr was like, oh yeah, it's like the middle, it's like 3 in the morning. And he's like, oh well, like where are you at? And he's like, oh, I'm in Iraq. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's like, oh, well, we're a company that does, contracting with the US government, but we hired a Fiverr out of, a foreign country that we're not so friendly with, I guess. And it was just really funny because there are good people that do good work out there, but everything is so global now that when you hire someone, like you don't really necessarily know all of the pieces. And at this point it's all about convenience for people rather than actual security or policy or anything like that. Like, what can we do to get it done now and for the lowest price point? And I think it's always been kind of about convenience over security, but I mean, just to hear that, I was like, oh my gosh. And it was all fine, but it's one of those things that's like, eek, like, let's take a step back here.
Yeah, I guess but you raise a really good point actually, because like it is unfortunately an industry where we do, particularly people that do what you and I do and other people in the cybersecurity industry, we do kind of stereotype and kind of like pigeonhole people from particular countries and things like that. Like not from like any kind of, racism perspective or anything like that, but just more from like what we know about where the majority of threat actors are based and threat actors come from. And so it's kind of
Mhm.
like, you would be super skeptical if, somebody from Russia or something like that came and applied for a job with you, and you were like, I'm going to hire this person to do this government work, even though they might be a citizen or they have access to whatever. Like, you're still going to be on the fence about it because you're apprehensive from a cybersecurity perspective, knowing that a lot of the threat actors come from that area, but also, you could be passing up on the opportunity of hiring brilliance, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Um,
it's like the North Korean employees that were being hired by these tech companies in the US and they were not being vetted as North Koreans.
yeah, yeah, and that,
Yeah.
or the one that deep faked no before as well. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. To be honest, and I think that's probably the other part that I sometimes get wrong about cybersecurity, because like I read a lot of these articles, like the breaches and stuff like that, and I want to see how everything happened. I'm like, man, that's cool. But it's also not cool. But it is cool.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool how they did it. But I think like you hit it on the head earlier when you sort of said, cyber, well, malware and hacking and ransomware and everything like that and cyber attacks are becoming so accessible. Truly, it's because of AI, to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
I remember seeing like a demonstration that was absolutely wild, was like phishing as a service and ransomware as a service combined. So I remember seeing this whole platform they built that was like AI backed and everything like that, where you could go and put in, say, like, okay, I want to target Bailey Marshall. So you go and put in Bailey Marshall's name, and then it would go and get everything that it can from an OSINT perspective about you. And it would craft like the most perfect phishing emails based off of everything that it knows about you and your schedule and your life and your social media and everything like that, with like a service level agreement click rate at like basically 97%. If it doesn't, you get your money back, all this sort of stuff. And then you click it and then it moves into the ransomware as a service. These things were so commercially accessible as well. It's cheaper to get that than it is to buy Know Before, or like like a corporate user awareness training platform. So you may as well just go buy the bad one.
Yeah, yeah. Funny enough, so I use AI all the time it's a
100%.
productivity hack, honestly. But I'll use like different platforms for different things based on I'll use Google Gemini for one thing, and then I'll use ChatGPT for a different thing because they provide different responses and the way that
Yeah.
they respond. It's like, oh, I like the tone of this one for this purpose, and this one's more professional, and whatever. But anyway, I was trying to have he kind of scrape the internet for my online persona, and find some certain things like this, and like give me the data back. And I asked Gemini, and Gemini's like, no, I can't do that, like that's a violation of data and privacy, and I can't give it to you. And
Hmm.
ChatGPT like was like, sure, here's all of here's everything
Yeah.
about you.
Yeah.
Like, it's just funny how they, like, these companies are being very, they're very diverse in what they think is security and privacy. And maybe, OpenAI is focused more on like the actual AI security, the security of the AI itself. And then, Google being, maybe more interested in the data privacy. And, I can't speak for, I think it's Claude and Perplexity and some of the other AI tools out there, because I don't use those as much. But it's interesting because every organization has what's interesting to them, or what's, I guess, more important to them to focus on for their AI tools.
That's a good point. But I mean, like at the same time, I guess I always question that because it's really funny that it says like, I can't go and get that information because of data and privacy and everything like that. But I'm literally just asking you to save me time because I can still get the information. I
Right.
just don't
Yeah.
want to spend 2 hours doing it when you can do it in 45 seconds.
Especially if
So,
it's something that's publicly accessible. I'm not asking you to go and like download my social security number, m- my
100%.
identification information from an online government resource. I'm asking you to go, and so I don't have to go look up Bailey Marshall online and find all of the things that I've ever done. You can go do that for me, and I'm lazy and I don't want to do that. So, but then
Yeah, 100%. I mean,
yeah.
I use AI every day as well. Like I mean, you have to these days, to be honest, and it makes being a business owner a little bit easier as well. It helps with budgets, it helps with forecasting strategies, all sorts of stuff. It's got some pretty cool ideas. But what I found interesting was, and funny, I was doing something in Azure yesterday, and I kept getting this weird random problem with my Azure configuration. So I was like, you know what? It's Microsoft. I'm just going to ask Copilot, what is this? What's going on? This is your product. Like, how do I fix this error? I can't solve it, blah, blah, blah. And it was like, yeah, do these things. And then I was like, just for shits and giggles, put the same question and the Copilot response into ChatGPT. And then ChatGPT was like, I could see that because it's a Microsoft product, why you would trust Copilot, but this is the real answer. And then I was like, all right, that's cool. AI war, let's go.
Yeah.
And the ChatGPT answer was actually the solution. The Microsoft one wasn't.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's so funny.
So
But
it
you
couldn't fix its own
cannot.
product.
There's one thing that I think, other than inputting client data into AI, don't do that. But there's one other thing that I don't think that you should use AI for. And it's because I'm, already online on social media all the time. So creating content with AI, you can
Uh-huh.
use it to brainstorm and think of things and to bullet point things. You've got to write
Yeah,
that stuff out yourself, though. It is becomes inhuman. It is very clear, even if you're not doing like they always talk, chat GPT loves the M dashes and the
sure
emojis and
does.
stuff like that. Even if you remove all of those things because you're like vigilant about it, like people can still see right through and use like these stupid little keywords and stuff. And it just, the way that things are said, it's like, okay, chat GPT wrote that for you, right?
Yep, yep. And I mean, it, to be honest, from an AI perspective, it really, I had this conversation the other day because it kind of, in some instances, it depends. Like if I, like for example, yeah, I'm guilty of doing that, to be honest. Like I've posted stuff where I've just been like, I've got to put something out. But like, let's say, for example, I do a video for LinkedIn and I put the video on there. That content is all 100% me. I'm talking to the video. This is what I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. I might just say, hey, can you give me like a couple of things to just post as like a rundown of the video of what was in here? And then I'll put that under the video because the wording is not where I want your attention to be. I want your attention to be on the video because the content of the video is the important part. Most people don't really read the caption anyway.
Mhm.
So that's fine. I did have a marketing company at one point doing my social media stuff, and it was just so AI. And I was like, and it was all scheduled. I think it's finished now. And I was like, I'll just let that play out and then fix that up because, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it. Like, one of the things that I think that it is good for is, as you say, brainstorming. So, like saying, oh, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this, give me that. Not copy and pasting it, because I think that copy and pasting it is how we're going to get to a world that is a little bit dumber, because you don't have to put any thought behind what you're doing, right? And if you're not really able to take what the AI wrote and put it into your own words, then it's probably not something you should be talking about anyway.
Right.
Um, so I think, getting it, like, yeah, if it gives you, say, like 2 paragraphs, but then you can summarize that in your own words down to one because you got the main messaging and the ideas from it. Yeah, I mostly use it for research, to be honest. Like, if I want to go and be like, oh, hey, I don't really know what this function does. Like, can you just give that to me? Like, and then it will explain to me. I also use it to learn Portuguese to talk to my family in Brazil. I ask it to pretend it's a Brazilian and we're having a conversation about dinner, and to talk to me like that, and to like judge me on my responses. So really good, better than Duolingo.
Oh, yeah, that's a smart idea. Yeah, I think it bugs me more when it is people posting for the intent of trying to get engagement through, like, being a business owner and posting online versus being a content creator and posting online, or being, an educator and whatever. It's all different intentions, and there's all different reasons why and what you're putting out. But if you're a content creator and you think your stuff is original because you just copied and pasted something that ChatGPT gave you, that completely is like, that takes all of the fun out of it, to be honest. And like, that's where I think people tend to go like off track. And I mean, I've used ChatGPT to help me build transcripts for videos and things like that, because I have a teleprompter, and I have like the brain of a goldfish, where I just am like, oh gosh, what was I going to say? And so hey, give me a script that I can put in here, and then I'm changing things because I'm like, that does not sound like me. Like, I do not want to use that verbiage. I don't like it. It doesn't sound authentic. Or using bullet points for your scripts and stuff, and that's fine too. It's when people, especially when they copy and paste like comments, so they'll take everybody's like post, a whole post, and then they'll give it to ChatGPT and say, "Give me an insightful comment for this," and then they just copy and paste it into like the comment. Like, okay, have some human interaction with people, give some insight without, like, think. Like, it's about engaging with people and networking. It's people, not, just the act of doing.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, no, I agree. I think that there is definitely a way, though, in some instances to use it. Like, if you are actually going to just shortcut and say paste what you're doing from AI, right? Like, do it in a way that people can still take something out of it, in a way that it's educational, in a way that it's useful. Another question I had for you, Bailey. What is your view in this uprise in the cybersecurity industry of cybersecurity influencers?
Of course, you would ask me that, because I hate the word influencer, for one, just period. And people still tell me like, "Oh, well, you don't realize you're an influencer. You, Bailey, are still an influencer." I'm like, "Yuck. Like, I don't want it. I don't want that." And it's because the connotation of what an influencer has become, which to me, it's like grifters, like preying on people's desperation and naivety to want to be in cybersecurity, for example, or tech. And so I hate the word influencer because I don't want to be associated with that persona, I guess. Like, I'm not out here trying to get people to pay $5,000 for my course that guarantees you a six-figure career in 6 months, because that's not realistic. That's not possible. And honestly, the industry is really, really bad right now for hiring. And someone even said it today at a an event that I was at, and they said, "Oh, well, there's hundreds of thousands of jobs in cyber, but there are not enough people to fill it. And I was like, well, that's not necessarily true. It's that the job requirements for people that businesses are asking for are so unattainable. And when they are attainable, they're basically ghosting these people, unfortunately, that are hiring for these or that are trying to get hired for these positions because they just don't think it's a 100% fit. But there are a lot of people that are trying to get into the industry or have experience, and the market's just crap right now. So, to go back to the influencer comment, I don't like to be or want to be associated with people that grift on that desperation, especially in the tech industry. And I've heard it's with some other industries as well, but like tech and cybersecurity is such a lucrative opportunity when you can get in, but people are so desperate to get in, or they're so desperate to find a job because they've been laid off because like we have to feed our families that, you know, there are a lot of people out there that are cyber influencers that talk a lot of words, but there's no like, it's like cloud words. Like, there's no substance behind what they're saying. And also, you go look at some of these people. I'm going to go off on a tangent here. You go look at some of these people's portfolios and resumes, and you're like, you've never worked in cybersecurity. You've never done the things that you're talking about. At least for me, I'm passionate about pen testing and hacking and things like that, but I also am a pen tester. I also have been on a red team before when I was in the military. I have done those things. And so you can see them on my resume, and I don't feel like I have to prove anything to anybody. But when you look at a lot of these people that claim themselves as influencers, haven't ever really had a job in technology or cybersecurity, and they're talking all of this stuff about how they can help you and teach you and all of that stuff, and that just really drives me crazy. So having a large following, I'll backtrack. There are a lot of peers of mine that have a large following that also hate that kind of influencer word because of that same reason, because we all genuinely want to help people and we like what we do and we want to share it with other people. And we're not trying to make money off of that. You know, there may be a day where I sell a small like $5, $10. I love John Strand and Black Hills Information Security. They do like pay what you can courses. That's great because people get, you can't you can't put a price on your time. So if you're going to spend the
Sure.
time to do it, it can't always be free. That, yeah, like I said, we all have families to feed, but at the end of the day, if we're spending $3,000 on a course that I could get for $50 somewhere else, like I'm going to pay $50, and it just makes it inaccessible for people that are trying to learn or do something, don't necessarily have the funds or the company that's spending a ton of money on stuff. And
Sure.
so yeah, I won't ever say that I won't sell a course or a product, but I'm fortunate to be able to make money in different ways that I don't, that's not, doesn't, never has to be like my primary source of income. And that's what these influencers have made. And part of me thinks it's because they haven't ever had a job in cyber or can't get a job in cyber. So they're like, well, if you can't, what's the old adage? Those that can't teach. So they go on
Okay,
and they're
those
on,
that can't do, can't or teach or something like
yeah,
that. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, they go on
But
social media and they're like, oh, well, I'm gonna educate you, but I'm also going to make you pay for me.
yeah, or like, hey, I'm a cybersecurity influencer. I recommend that you turn on multi-factor authentication on your Gmail, and also if you're worried about your online data, here's my partnership that I'm getting paid for. Sign up for that. Yeah, I love that
Yeah,
one. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. There are a
Um.
couple of influencer faces that I've seen around that are like sponsored advertisements in my
Yeah.
Instagram,
Yeah.
in my TikTok, and I'm like scrolling and I see this like sponsorship or this company that's paying for these people to do ads for them, and now they're like showing
Yeah.
up in my feed.
Yeah. It's a sign because like they're just trying to make you angry. So like when you watch it, you're like, I'm Bailey. Like, how am I not sponsored? Like, do you not know me? Like, what is this? Where's my sponsorship?
Yeah, yeah. I there are things that I have talked to people about partnering with and sponsoring and stuff, but I mean, at the end of the day, my in my heart and in my like mind, I will take, a sponsorship over taking advantage of people that are trying to get in the industry. Like if I were to do sponsored or branded content, it's not because I am big businesses can pay you for ad, your face, like facial recognition in your ad space. Like they have the money to do that. People that are trying to get into the industry or people that are like stuck and they're trying to pivot, they don't like they just don't want to take advantage of people. Like take advantage of the companies, not the people.
Yeah.
I know that
Yeah,
really
yeah.
sounds kind of bad.
No, no, that makes sense. So I guess then, like, based off of your opinion of influencers, my next question for you was not really super going to be answered because it was like as an upcoming and rising influencer, who's your top three favorites? But yeah, that I'm kidding, obviously.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I can think of my top three least favorites off the top of my head. I
Yeah,
I run with a crew of they're both tech, so I'm talking about like network engineering, network
mhm,
security, which is different than cybersecurity.
yeah,
Cybersecurity, both red and blue team. Like we have a group of like peers that all really have the same mindset around creating content, and we're trying to genuinely share what we love and educate people without taking
yeah,
advantage of people, and we're all just trying to make a living too. But that group of people is really, really a very supportive community, and it's not this siloed, I'm better than you, or I'm going to do this, or kind of dog eat dog. I get the vibe from some of the influencers that are out there that it can be kind of cutthroat. um so I don't want that. I just don't want to deal with any of that. I just want to do what I love and share it with people.
yeah. But I think that's the important part. Like, and it is something that a lot of them kind of miss is just honestly sharing information that's useful, and it can be implemented, it can be taken away, and it can be, adapted to what you do in the day to day. I see a lot of the influencer stuff on Instagram, and it's things that like it's probably more designed for non-LinkedIn users and things like
Mm-hmm.
that, non-business users and everything like that. And I see some stuff on, Instagram is designed for people that don't use Instagram, maybe for like the older generation that don't have the technology knowledge, that sort of stuff, right? And they're leveraging other parts of their persona to get bigger, if that makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
without being too direct about it. And then you look at the following, and then you're like, oh, okay, I know why they've got so many followers, and you can see the demographic, right? Another thing, we were talking a lot about Qantas and all the other breaches happening and everything at the moment. One that nobody has really talked about too much. You kind of touched on it with not this particular threat or breach, but families to feed, cost of living is like a big thing at the moment, right? And there was an article last year around how cybersecurity engineers and professionals, people like yourself and me and things that are struggling with the cost of living. And so they would go do their day job, even software engineers, they go do their day job every day for the good people. Then they leave work, they go home, and then they're like, yeah, cool, I can make that ransomware for you. Yeah, I can make that for you. Here it is right here. They sell it, right? They're making money on the side. Um, so the insider threat thing is like actually quite big, but also, trying to make money on the side. You look like you wanted to say something on that topic first before I get to the actual report. So go for it.
Okay, so yeah, very, very briefly, I have to say this. So, this is not cyber, this is just tech, but I don't know if you heard about the software engineer that was working for like 3 to 4 startups at a time. Um,
No?
yeah, just really brief. So you said, like going home, you have your day job and then you go have your night job and doing that. This guy, his name was Soham Parekh. I think he's in his 20s. He is from India, and he moved over to the US to do graduate school. he was working 140 hours a week doing all of this tech stuff. And so, like, you want to talk about having a day job and then going home and doing nefarious activities, like, people do that all the time. And this guy, he had financial situations that was the reason why he was working multiple jobs. But the founders of the companies, like, filed against him and basically said, like, you're scamming the companies. So it's interesting because it's clearly not just the software engineering side. Like, people are having these, like, side things and
Yeah.
other things that they're doing. So it's interesting that you bring that up, because I've heard a lot about that, especially with the post COVID, with the rise of, like, remote work and things like that.
Yeah.
It's so easy to do multiple things at once.
Oh, 100%. And on that, I have a friend who literally has two jobs. He would do like he's just so good at his main job. He would go to his 9 to 5 and he would finish all of his work in like an hour, but still tell people that the project's going to take a couple of days. And then for
Mhm.
those couple of days, just working on his own business on the side, like, and just making double the money, right? So, I mean, genius, ethical, maybe not, but genius.
Right,
But
right.
what I wanted to say from the cost of living perspective is it's no secret to pretty much anybody on the podcast, anybody who knows me, that I have a closeness to Brazil with my family being in Brazil and everything like that. So, and my wife and all of that. So the interesting thing that I found was that when we visited Brazil, cost of living is monstrous over there. So like it's so hard, and the minimum wage and the average income per month and everything's really really hard. Like it's not a secret that it's like that, in that country. So when people come to people in that country, it's very easy for them to consider and say, oh, hey, like I'm going to give you X amount of money if you just do this bad thing. And a lot of people do it, right? Now, what actually happened, I think it was last week, was there was a guy who was working for Brazil's central bank, and he was inside the bank. Some basically adversaries, threat actors, they came to him and said, look, we'll give you, I think it was like 3,000 or 2,900 Brazilian reais, which I think is about 500 Australian dollars, which is probably about what, 850 or 900 USD, something like that. If you just give us your username and password and your credentials to like log into the systems. So he was like, yeah, no worries. He took that and they managed to steal 140 million in less than
Oh my
24 hours.
God.
Like, yeah, they extracted it at 140 million from 6 connected banks, basically straight out into Bitcoin, gone into the ether. Like they're not going to find it. It was done in such a short period of time that they then basically found the guy because they were like, well, it was your account. And they looked into him and found out that, yeah, he sold his credentials for like $3,000 or 3,000 Brazilian reais. And yeah, they got him. They arrested him. But realistically, he put everything on the line for a bunch of people he's never going to meet who made more money than he's ever going to see in his entire life. And he threw it all away.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're gonna see more of that kind of stuff as time goes on, because I mean, let's be honest, there's a lot going on in the world. Doesn't matter like what country you're in, there's so much going on right now, and people are, they're desperate, they're put out of their homes. I saw recently that there's been a string of Nigerian hackers who have been employed by Russian threat actor groups, and they're in
Yeah.
Nigeria. And so they can spend way more money, to hire someone in, a more third world country to do these things on behalf of them. And that's crazy to think that, like, that is a lot of money. And I just think that's going to become more of the norm now, because people are, I mean, it's life. Like, this is life we're talking about. And for like a few extra dollars, that could mean a whole, month or two of being able to afford the home that they're in. Like, okay, $800, 800 USD, for example, if that was kind of how that translated to, the money in Brazil, That's not a lot of money. I mean, I guess that's 1 month's rent, but that's 1 month that someone's not put out of their home, and maybe they have, a
That's
family
true.
that they don't want to have on the street, and that's crazy. And it is like this in parts of the US, and I'm sure in other countries as well. Living on the streets is not safe. It's not an option. So
Yeah,
I
yeah, for
bet
sure.
you will see more of these threat actors starting to hire on people that are just desperate. And you're right, it goes back to the insider risk, which is funny because everybody likes to talk about the SOC and the threat hunting and all of like the super technical stuff, but insider risk is just as, I mean, that's the people aspect of cybersecurity.
Yeah, did you just say that cybersecurity is no longer just a tech problem? It's a people problem? Wow.
I basically did that. I did not get that off of Chat GPT.
No, that was just straight from the influencer mindset.
Okay, but we were talking about this before. It has always been
Yeah,
a people problem. It's just
it has.
that's so you're right. You're right. That's straight out of the influencer 101 playbook. So,
But it
but
has
it's
always
not
just been,
wrong.
I know, it has always been a people problem. Like you can spend $20 million on technology and it just takes one idiot to click a link.
Yep. Yeah. The rise of phishing, and you said, phishing is a service and things like that. So it
Yeah,
all goes back to the human beings and those that are not as vigilant as people like us because we're looking for it.
that's true.
Yep.
All right, cool. Well, that brings us to the end of season one, episode one, season one, season three. Well, I guess new season, new team, who dis, I guess. Anyway, season three, episode one of the Black Box Diaries, with Chris and Bailey. We will be back next week with another episode. We've got some pretty exciting guests coming up from Bailey's network and from my network, so we're going to have some really cool stuff to talk about. Stay tuned. If you have any questions or you want us to cover any topics, then reach out to either of us and connect up on LinkedIn and social media with Bailey if you want to see the next rising influencer in cybersecurity.
Oh, gosh, don't put that on me.